Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a good show for you tonight. Right over in the wings is Jim Matheson and John Cornett. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Paul. Hi.
Ready to rock. And next to me is Mr. Casper Leach. Hey, Casper. We have be taking your phone calls shortly. If you have a question or comment, stand by and you can give us a call here after the music at 503-288-4442. But first, we'll bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves. Okay, and standing by here is Jim Matheson and John Cornett. Thanks, guys.
Hey now, here's a song from way back about the subject that is dear to everyone. All right, we there?
Did you make that one up?
Oh yeah, that's an old standby.
Uh-huh. Well, good.
I lost my virginity in
Seattle
that song.
Hemp Fest favorite from the 80s.
Yeah.
I started doing that one.
That's a good one.
But this is the appropriate place. So.
Indeed.
Great voice.
He is. He's got a great
voice.
song for that. So welcome to the show. Welcome, Casper. How are you?
Happy, what's today, Friday?
It's Friday.
Is it Friday?
The
Well,
show
we're on
must-
TV, so I guess
so.
it is, right? Are we on?
I think so.
Oh, yes.
If you
I see
have a
you there.
question-
Oh, put your food down. in your living room, so it's not polite.
If you have a question or comment for us tonight about cannabis or hemp or helping medical marijuana patients, you can give us a call. That number there on your screen, it's 503-288-4442. So we've had some more movement in the legislature on marijuana law changes. It looked like a good thing that their whole scheme of stopping counties from being able to ban dispensaries and recreational stores would fallen apart on Wednesday night, but by this evening they've come up with more amendments, and maybe they'll move on it. So we want to urge our viewers to contact your state legislators and tell them no, do not allow cities and counties to ban medical marijuana dispensaries. We here in Portland will probably be fine because they haven't banned them here, but the rest of the state will be a desert, and that's why we passed Measure 91. So tell them that we need to make sure if they're going to ban dispensaries, they have a vote of the people, because then they won't be able to do it, because the people voted in favor of setting up Measure 91, and that's just one of the many things that we need to make certain that our legislators do. So contact your House of Representatives people in Salem and urge them to stop the legislature's attempt to allow cities and counties to ban these things outside of Measure 91. Measure 91 set up a mechanism by which the people could vote on banning dispensaries, but unfortunately 140 cities and counties and municipalities around the state of Oregon voted to ban marijuana up until May 1st of this year for almost a year and a half. And 140 of them did that, and it hasn't helped them, and they haven't done anything to figure out how to properly implement regulations. So we need to make certain our legislators mind the will of the voter, and we need to make some noise down there. So that's one of the three main points I think we need to be lobbying on.
Well, and you mentioned that there's been movement there in our legislative body, and it seems like Congress could use a good movement because they're stuck, aren't they, on the hemp bills that are sitting there up there?
Yep, they usually don't get out of committee, and I don't think they will this year in the federal Congress. So that's the way things look.
Stand up a bunch of hemp suppositories to help them figure out what they need to do.
Okay.
You need to get a different microphone.
Your microphone isn't
For
working,
me?
Casper, unfortunately.
Oh.
Well, then the other 2 points that we want to make certain that we tell the legislatures, we want progressive license fees so that small businesses that are only making $10,000 or $100,000 don't pay the same license fee that a business that's making $10 or $100 million would make. So we need a progressive license fee. We also need to make certain that the amount of cannabis that people harvest from their 4 plants, which are legal, isn't limited to 8 ounces. They should be able to keep whatever their 4 plants produce. And so those are the 3 things to push for. Not allowing city councils and county councils to ban marijuana medical dispensaries and stores, not allowing patients to keep whatever, or allowing everyone to keep whatever they harvest from their 4 plants, and last but not least, the the progressive license system. So that's the one thing I want to push.
Groovy. Sound check.
Hopefully your microphone works now.
Let me know.
Apparently there was a mic problem there for you.
Nope.
We have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Just listening to you doing your thing.
Uh-huh. You have a question for us tonight?
Yeah, actually, I have a question for Casper.
Okay. Go right ahead. He's here fumbling around with his microphone.
I'm
But
sorry.
he can hear you.
I want to know where he buys his ties.
eBay.
eBay.
Did you hear that?
No.
He said eBay. the online auction site. Yeah, that's a psychedelic one there. Rainbow tie.
Yeah, I have a question for Casper. Okay. The Redhead. He's just put it on with his microphone.
All right. Well, hopefully now you know. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us there. At that number, once again, it's 503-288-4442. We do have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Pretty well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Now, I've read that you own a few dispensaries yourself. I'm a fan of really high-quality medicine, and I was wondering if you could point me towards any specific dispensaries that have really high-quality medicine.
I don't own any dispensaries, actually. I have some clinics where doctors help patients get their medical marijuana recommendations. However, the newspapers write periodically that I am a dispensary store owner, so I can understand where you might think that. But those newspapers are wrong. I don't own any dispensaries. I grow marijuana for a number of patients, but I give it away for free. In fact, over the past 12 years, I've given away about 6,000 pounds of free, high-quality medical marijuana to patients. But I can only do that because patients come to our clinics and pay to see our doctors.
Now, as far as dispensaries go, if I'm looking for, let's say, the best, highest quality marijuana in Portland area, is there any dispensaries you can say, hey, go there? I know they always have the top quality, top shelf stuff.
You know, unfortunately, because I grow my own, I've never been in these dispensaries. And so I don't go into the dispensaries. I'm well known in the community. I can't just go in anonymously. And so I haven't been into any of the dispensaries, to be honest. So I really can't direct you to any. Sorry. Wish I could.
Have you heard of no dispensaries come to mind? Like, you're around a lot of different.
I don't have any idea what they're carrying, to be honest. I can't really say. I can't make any recommendations on that front.
And you know, I finally went out and got a Volcano. I know you use your Volcano a lot, right?
Yeah, I like my Volcano a lot. And
you said you set your temperature at 370?
Yeah, or just below that, like between 360 and 370. I don't usually put it over 370 for cannabis.
And you grind it first, right? And then you only run it through once, right?
I might, you can get several bags of vapor off of it. The first one is the tastiest because the terpenes vaporize first. But you can get, depending on the quality of the cannabis, several bags of vapor off a single chamber.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Usually. I would think some people might just only run it through once because otherwise it might not.
Some people do, but it will. When you vaporize, nothing is destroyed in the material you're vaporizing. In fact, it's activated in the heating process. For cannabis to be psychoactive or medicinally active, it has to go through what's called the decarboxylation, where the carbon dioxide molecule is stripped away from the rest of the THC. And so that happens in the heating process. So after you vaporize it, you can eat it. But one pass, filling up one bag in the vaporizer, probably only takes from 10 to 30% of the THC out. That means 70 to 90% of it's left into the cannabis. So you can fill up the bag. I've at times run 2 or 3 bags, and sometimes up to 5 if want to stretch the cannabis out. But even if you vaporize 5 bags of cannabis off one single chamber, there's still some medicine left in the cannabis because it doesn't completely take it out, and none is destroyed. When it's smoked, a lot of it's destroyed in the burning process.
Well, my favorite thing to do with the Volcano is I get the highest quality medicine I can find that's really sticky usually, and grind it up, and then I put mine all the way up to the max, which is like 446, and I just run one bag through. And then that seems like the way that I preferred it, but it seems like I'm not really using the vaporizer the way you're supposed to, the way that I do it that way.
Yeah, I think it. There are other things that start to vaporize at higher temperatures. Once you get up to 380, 390, benzene will start to vaporize, and that's an irritant and makes me cough. So I find I don't really like coughing all that much when I'm inhaling cannabis vapor. So I find if I keep it down below 370, I don't cough. And so I know some people who vaporize it at an even lower temperature.
Do you vape anything else other than the marijuana?
I have in the past some peppermint, but usually just cannabis myself.
What about oils, though? Heard that you don't really want to do that because it might.
No, you
leak
can.
down
They have a
the unit.
special wire mesh to vaporize oils and extracts in a volcano. In that case, you might want to vaporize it at a higher temperature. But, you know, vaporizing cannabis is an extraction process. You're extracting the oils and resins from the plant directly in vaporization. So that's all you're inhaling. So I like it that way. All right?
All right. Well, thanks for everything you're doing.
Hey, I'm glad to do it. Wish I could give you a little more lead on the dispensaries, but I just never visit the places. You know, I've got more than enough cannabis, so why would I go buy any? I think mine's the best anyway. All right. So if you got a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at that number on your screen. I think we have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Welcome to the show. You have a question or
Well, I
comment?
was wondering, the law says July 1st for recreational floor plants. Is that the way it works? Or
Yep. There's a lot of different things that are going on July 1st. There are, I know the Willamette Week has a big party going on. I've been asked to come and sponsor that. I don't think I will, but they have a party. I know Stony Girl Gardens has a big seed with giveaway going on. I know another fellow was talking about a protest at the Hawthorne Bridge next to the Blues Festival, which will be going on that day as well. So there's several events taking place. But, you know, the Measure 91 actually said in 2 different places at 2 different dates that it would go into effect. At one point, it says it goes into effect 30 days after the election. That would have been last December. A few paragraphs later, it says it goes into effect on the 1st of July. And so that's been the date we've been hearing a lot of. In fact, I think somebody's here wants to make a little announcement about something happening on that date. But yeah, that date's coming. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Well, I was wondering, I know a couple of people that want to grow, but they don't want to do it until July 1st. Is that a mandate? I mean, is July 1st the date where they can?
Yeah, everyone, there's no doubt that anyone can grow 4 plants per household and possess 8 ounces per household come July 1st. I think they can do it right now, but if you want to be very safe, you might want to wait till July 1st.
Yeah, that's what I am getting. I'm legal. I'm medical.
Okay.
So, I mean, I got my 6 plants, and they're being planted. But I have friends that want to plant. So July 1st would be the safe date?
Yeah, there's no doubt that it's legal on July 1st. Like I said, the law says in 2 places. If you look in what the actual voter pamphlet that came out before the election last fall, it says that the law went into effect in December. So technically, I think you can grow them right now, grow 4 plants per household. But in another place, and the media have been pushing this other date that's in the very same law that says July 1st. So there's a little bit of confusion on that, but everybody's in agreement that July 1st is legal cannabis day here in Oregon.
Okay, so, but...
There's the law right there. So they're going to highlight the 2 different places in the law where it says those dates. There's one of them highlighted. They're highlighting the other date. So there. So you can see it says 2 different dates right there. And so, but you know, the last one is July 1st. So it's definitely legal then.
fact that the ATF is not bothering with the marijuana.
Yeah, in Portland, you don't have to worry about it at all. If you're outside of Portland, you probably want to wait till July 1st. But you know, at this point, what is July 1st? Is just 3 weeks away.
So, recreational is legal on July 1st.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's basically what I need.
Hallelujah. Free at last. Free at last, to paraphrase the great MLK.
Yeah, free at last.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I get to get stoned with my dad.
All right. We'll
After July
travel
1st.
safely out there. Thank you for calling.
Right.
Have a good night. We have a studio audience member who wants to make an announcement here. So make sure that microphone's going, and we'll go to our studio audience member. Go right ahead, Greg.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Hi, Paul. Hi,
Hey,
Casper.
how are you?
For that guy's information, my recreation is already this tall.
Uh-huh.
But you guys know I've been in this game a long time. I got arrested in '67 for 6 seeds and was facing prison time. I was naive and thought that they're going to make it legal pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, here it is almost 50 years later. We voted it in, and Measure 91 said they wouldn't mess with medical, that only the state could tax it. It's getting crazy. Every city, every county, and they're messing with medical. Some of my friends suggested, remember the Boston Tea Party?
I was there.
It was the beginning of the people, by the people and for the people.
Yeah.
Some of my friends are suggesting it's time for another Tea Party. And 4th of July, they got the Blues Festival going on. And we're talking about having a tea party on Hawthorne Bridge at 4:20. Bringing some leaves and throwing them over the side.
All right.
And I'm going to pick some.
Okay.
Just thought I'd tell you that.
Okay. There's another July 1st event. That's
July 4th.
July 4th. July 4th. Okay.
Blues Festival.
Yeah, during the Blues Festival. Can't hear that. Okay. Well, so July 4th, right there above the Blues Festival. It'll be happening.
Right by the main stage.
We have another audience member. Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, on the July 3rd, down in Umpqua, just north of Roseburg, we're having the Umpqua Hemp Fest.
The what?
It's, the Umpqua Hemp Fest.
It's a river.
It's it's the Umpqua Valley down there. It's just north of Roseburg, and they're putting on a hemp fest down there. Thomas Mapp Fumo, a lot of great musicians. I'll be there with my band, the Herbivores, and we'll be entertaining. We're going to have a lot of speakers. We're going to have a lot of activity going on there and celebrating the legalization.
Is it going to be in Roseburg?
Yeah, just right down by Roseburg there. They're just you can you head down to the Umpqua Valley Hemp Fest. There's signs all down there where
Just
to go.
look that up on the internet and you'll find the location.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably.
You will.
The Umpqua Valley Hemp Fest, July 3rd. It's just one day?
It's a one-day thing, but they're going to have overnight camping, and we plan on having a great party. And so when there's stragglers on the 4th, we're going to have a good time.
All right.
And so I'm encouraging everybody to come out and support it.
Okay. We urge you to
Cute
support
little
that
name
as
for
well.
a city. Does the police department consist of Oompa Loompas?
No.
No?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
It's a river there
Really?
through, yeah, there's the Umpqua Dairy, I believe, as well. And it's a Native American tribe. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
There seems to be an extra long delay right now in getting the cards renewed.
Really?
Yeah, mine. And the thing is, they've already taken the money out of my bank account, yet I still don't have the card. And I looked online, and it says that they're only processing ones that were received the second week of May.
Wow.
So, you know, this is not
You pay them
like
$200,
last year. It was only about 10 days.
and it takes them more than a month. You know, you go to the DMV and you get your driver's license right away. But you give the Oregon Health Authority, I hate that name, the Oregon Health Authority, $200, and they can't process a card in less than a month?
And they've taken the money already. That's what's outrageous. So they must have opened my application, taken the check out, processed it, but yet not sent in my application. And of course, now you can't go to one of the dispensaries without, an updated card. Even you can't show them the paperwork. So luckily, I, have a bit stored, but I wonder how long this is going to go on, and I think it's pretty outrageous. I believe I'm going to call my legislators about this because they're making so much money off of that program. They ought to be able to hire more staff if that's the problem.
I agree. It's pretty outrageous. Shouldn't take so long.
Have you heard about this from anyone else?
No, this is the first I've heard of it. I thought they were turning them around more quickly than that.
Nope.
It must be a relatively recent delay. This is the first I've heard.
Someone at the dispensary said that they had laid off staff, and if that's the case, that really makes it even more outrageous. I don't know that that's for sure true, but...
Well, you're dealing with a government agency, so what may have happened, they may have hired more staff, and you know how government agencies are. They don't know what they're doing, so now you've got too many people running around clueless.
Yeah, well, if anybody else has had this problem, I'd like for them to call in, too. I hope they're not picking on me for some reason.
Well, you said you looked on the website and it said they were processing them from May 2nd. You heard it in the dispensary, so.
Second week of May, like May 10th through the 14th.
I see.
But
shouldn't take them a month to issue that thing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay, have a good day.
All right, thanks for bringing that to our attention and our audience's attention. That just means that if you are out there waiting for your card to be renewed, then you should turn it in early so you can get your card back. You turning it up to 90 days in advance. We have a couple more callers. Go ahead. Let's take another call.
Hi.
Hi.
Paul, do you have any information about like group homes and stuff like that are pot friendly, places where somebody who's on like Social Security has a card but needs will need a place where they can also do their medicine?
No, unfortunately, I don't have any information on.
Any ideas of like referrals?
Like what?
Rural.
It's
out in the boondocks.
Yeah, it's finding someplace where somebody with like MS can like have some assisted living and stuff, but there's no place that takes somebody on Social Security that I can find so far that will allow them to do their medicine.
Well, with the change in the law being recognized here on July 1st, I think we'll start to see more things changing. I don't really know anything right off the top of my head, but if you call back in next week, I will do some research and see what I can find.
That would be very nice, Paul.
Okay.
Actually, it sounds like something somebody should be able to get into.
Yeah, I agree. There should be a cannabis-friendly...
She has her own caregiver, She has growing and everything like that, and you go to your fine establishment there, and she has her card. So we will call you again next week.
Sounds good. I'll see what I can find.
I keep telling you,
Happy
Paul,
July.
Thanks. Happy Liberation Day.
You need to put together your own little string of Shady Pines nursing homes that have their own little vaporizer room and a little smoke room for the patients. I don't know, call it Shady Hemp Senior Citizens Rest Home, and
somebody
that way,
in the audience likes that.
Because there's a lot of people who can't find a place to retire where they'll take Social Security and they're ready to go, but if you get a place like that where you can have vaporizers in the nursing home, a lot of the grandkids will always visit Grandma and Grandpa. Every weekend you'll have family there, so you should put together a string of those.
Okay, I'll take that to heart. We'll see what happens.
Yes, hemp home for the aged.
I live in a rental home myself, so I don't know, but we'll find out what happens. We've got a couple more phone calls. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, not
Willie
that
Nelson
one.
might even be your first patient in the hemp home for the aged.
Okay.
He's getting up there.
Who?
Willie Nelson.
Oh, he's
a guy. He's got this little country music
he
band.
Could set up a chain.
You've heard of him?
Speaking of Willie Nelson.
You've heard of him.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and run this video. You segued into it perfectly. We have a video. You didn't know?
Our organization really aims to educate the public about renewable energy and provide pathways for individuals, organizations, businesses, and eventually nations to actively use renewable energy. This year, what we're taking on is a 50-city tour with vehicles, with Fields of Fuel, the movie, really interfacing with the public and showing them, hey, these are things you can do right now, and the net effect is tremendous in terms of the carbon reduction of the emissions in the United States and the increase of sustainable energy of the country. One of the objectives for the Change Your Fuel, Change the World tour is to have a green energy document that senators, mayors, and even governors sign as we go through states. That document will be taken to the presidential candidates, and on October 19th, we'll have a very large concert in which both presidential candidates will be invited to sign a commitment document for green energy for America. And that's, you know, when we look at policy and we look at politics, it's inside of making a commitment and having mandates that we really begin to move the nation toward green energy, like Sweden has done, like Germany has done, like so many other countries have done. The United States is the last one. So we hope to use Fields of Fuel as a catalyst to make those commitments turn into law. Ideally, what we want to see is, rather than a document like the Kyoto Protocol, which goes off of carbon reduction, we want to look at green energy increase or sustainable energy increase, which will inevitably have a carbon reduction. However, if you look at it from the point of view of increase, say 5% total renewable energy by the end of 2009, and an increase of 3 to 5% per year thereafter, fuels and electricity, you could see in about 20 years that we would have 100% of our electricity and 100% of our fuel from renewable sustainable sources. The net effect in carbon emission reduction would be roughly 75% of our carbon emissions would be reduced. That's well and truly beyond where the Kyoto Protocol looks. And the effort here is, rather than saying, look, you can't do this, and telling people, no, this is a not, like you can't emit carbon. It's you can have jobs, you can have energy security, you can have greater wealth in your communities. So the perspective of the document is a 3 to 5% per year increase in renewable energy. There is a corresponding decrease in carbon emissions.
And we certainly are glad that the hemp car is here at the Knox County Fair. We invite you, it's only going to be here today, so I would suggest you get here too.
Who's all excited that if hemp becomes legal?
Hey, welcome back. That was Josh Tickle. He's got that movie out there called Fuel. He's been here on the show back when it first came out. I guess that was about 6 or 7 years ago. It's interesting to have him on there. What were you saying, Casper?
Some governor was all excited in the news today. I'm not sure which state he was from, that if hemp becomes legal in his state, it will almost immediately, overnight, create 30,000 jobs just in his state alone.
Which state is that?
I have to look back in the news, but he said from all the textile production.
Must be California.
And all the different types of products that can be made from it, that almost overnight, from picking to product creation, it would create a total of 30,000 jobs in his state almost overnight.
Sounds like a good thing. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us. That number on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. And we have a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hi. My name is Betty.
Hey, Betty.
I'm not really for marijuana, but I guess probably because I'm old-fashioned. But I was just wondering, why are the other states so slow in getting their state approved for marijuana?
It's a big political process to be able to do that. And so not every state has an initiative process. Implementing an initiative campaign takes a lot of money. Up in Washington, they spent about $7 million, about $4 million in Oregon and Colorado to legalize marijuana. So it takes a lot of money to put it through in an initiative process. And It's a lot of places are waiting to see how it turns out in Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and now Alaska and Washington, D.C. And,
Right.
you know, we started with medical marijuana in California in '96. We got it in Oregon and Washington, and Arizona passed a law as well, but it was turned back. And Washington, D.C. did in 1998. And so it's slowly spread. Now we have about 22 states that have medical marijuana. So it's just a slow social process. You know, it took African Americans 400 years to get freedom. So freedom isn't free. It takes a lot of work.
Well, I'm kind of leery. I'm still kind of leery because I did a lot of volunteer work with children from first grade to fourth grade, and I'm still kind of leery about children having access to marijuana, especially medical marijuana in the home, because we're going to end up with a bunch of happy heads, but I guess that's better than a bunch of criminals.
Well, yeah, you know, in fact, it turns out that when you regulate marijuana, it actually takes it out of the hands of kids.
Right.
Because they're selling it. I mean, it's during alcohol prohibition, it wasn't unusual for high schools to close down because a large percentage of the population, the student body, was drunk because the sales of alcohol had fallen to kids. And so once it was regulated, that stopped happening. And I'm not saying that kids don't get alcohol, but they have less access to it when they aren't selling it. You know, the kid in the seat next to them is trying to peddle it.
And that way, then, if medical marijuana should fall into the hands of a child, it'll be at the doctor's recommendation, because there are children who do take medical marijuana for a variety of reasons. And you opened up your conversation by saying, maybe it's because you're old-fashioned, that's why you don't like marijuana. I'm thinking if you were old-fashioned, you would like marijuana because it was being smoked back in the 1930s and the 1920s on a regular basis, and the plant was being utilized for a lot of reasons under industrial hemp and creating a lot of products, and it was also being used as a medicinal value in people's medicines cabinet back in the old day. So I'm not thinking it's because you were a little old-fashioned that you're against marijuana. I'm thinking because you have been misrepresented too about the plant by your older generation, and without doing a lot of extra research have blindly bought into the beliefs.
And that could be very well. Okay, thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thanks for your phone call there, Jean.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, in my home, we raised three children that are now in their 20s, and Mom and Dad both used marijuana, and none of the kids used marijuana. So we didn't really push them to use marijuana. We didn't, you know, I was always afraid that they'd come and take them away from us because I was doing this TV show. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but they haven't taken advantage of having marijuana in the home. They just don't want to do, you know, kids don't want to do what their parents do. You know, a lot of times these things skip a generation, so they're probably going to watch out for the grandkids. But.
Well, that's part of it. It's because I know when I was 16 and 17 going into my grandparents' house with my little red eyes smelling like a field, my grandma would say, "You've been out there smoking that rope weed?" And then she'd say, "I know you're hungry." So she and my grandpa knew all about it, but my mom and dad were really against it, and it's because that generation, my mom and dad's generation, was the type of generation that believed the government no matter what the government said, and was easily brainwashed, and they bought off on a lot of the lies that was propaganded into the press. And it was our parents' generation, my parents' generation, that was dumbed down about this plant, whereas their folks and their grandparents all knew the truth about hemp and medical marijuana. It just seemed to be that World War II generation that came out believing everything.
Well, they were exposed to that reefer madness, you know.
Right,
They knew what hemp was, but people didn't know that marijuana was hemp.
Right.
You know, it kind of skipped a generation in that. We have a comment from John. Go right ahead, John.
I just want to say this and shut up.
Okay.
You know, it's cannabis. It's not marijuana. Marijuana is the legal fiction that the government made up in order to make it illegal. Please start using the word cannabis. That's really what we're talking about.
Okay.
There you go.
That's why we call it Cannabis Common Sense here.
Well, I deal with the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network, and people on there come on and talk about medical marijuana. And I always tell people, I don't care if you call it marijuana or if you call it hemp or if you call it cannabis. The first thing you got to call it is illegal. And until you're able to call it legal in all 50 states, then there's no point in having a pissing contest about the name.
Or all around the world. You know, not just the 50 states, but we need global cannabis freedom. I think there's no doubt about that.
There you go.
We have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, not that
That
line.
must have been Officer Peter Johnson from Homeland Security.
Okay. We have another comment in the audience. Go right ahead, Judy.
If I wasn't so tired from, you know, working on getting the season started, I would be stamping my feet and ranting and raving because really I'm incensed. I'm incensed at our government, at what they apparently are about to do to us. Because
you mean the state government with its House Bill 3400 is a really bad one. They've amended it 31 times now.
Wow.
And yeah, it's pretty outrageous.
I don't know what kind of response that you guys are getting, but practically to a person, no matter who I ask, people are not contacting their representatives. For myself, I would like to hear from anybody that has actually talked to Susan McLean, because I can't arrange that. Doesn't matter how much
That's
I call.
your representative?
That is my representative
and you've been
in
trying
the
to
House.
reach your office.
Well, I can reach the office. I can't talk to Susan McLean.
Right.
So if anybody has talked to Susan McLean, I would like to know about that, and I'd sure like to know about what they said. You know, I would also like very much to know if anyone has demonstrations planned anywhere. I would really very much like to know about that, because we should be. Because as far as I can tell, we are about to get our Oregon medical marijuana program just devastated by what they're planning on doing.
If they can get it through. I mean, I think it would be a wonderful thing if the legislature just didn't do anything. And I think that might happen. You know, we're down to, they have to let the session out within a month. But I think everybody wants to get out of there in about 2.5 weeks. So they just have a few more weeks of mischief left, and we'll be better off if they don't do anything at all. That's my opinion. But you guys should be contacting your legislators. You probably, as Judy pointed out, won't be able to talk to them directly, but tell their staff that we don't want city councils and county councils to be able to ban marijuana. They've already shown that they can't do it legitimately. We also want to be able to keep everything that our 4 legal marijuana plants produce. We can't say, hey, you 4 plants, stop at 8 ounces. You know, and plus for some of us, 8 ounces might not be enough for a year. So we want to grow as much as we can. It is 8 ounces that you're allowed to grow and keep under the Measure 91. That should be a larger amount. And last but not least, we need to have progressive license fees. So small businesses don't pay the same license fee a business many times larger pays. So those are the 3 points I urge you to contact your legislature about.
Yeah, I think you go through 8 ounces in a month, don't you?
My wife does.
There you go.
We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing, Mr. Paul?
Very well. How are you?
Doing well. This is Brandon Crystal. I'm here with my father, Raymond. We're watching live. We just want to say hi, and we like your tie.
All right.
Personally, I'm very excited for the state of Oregon here in the next couple of weeks. I'm visiting from the Midwest, and I'm excited for the people of Oregon on what the benefits of recreational cannabis is going to do for the community and the society and the growth for this whole state. And we're just thankful for you all being on the frontier of the movement for the people.
Thank you, Brandon. My best to Ray, and God bless him and your family. He helped us put Measure 80 on the ballot, one of the people who got among the largest number of signatures, so we want to thank him.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Stanford. Have a great night.
You too. So we have another video we're going to run, and we'll be back in just a moment after this brief video
knob.
Shocking surveillance video from an Orange County pot bus. Santa Ana police officers appear to be eating marijuana edibles and joking about kicking an amputee. And that's not all. Eyewitness News reporter Jory Rand is live in Santa Ana with more on this developing story. Jory.
David, it was all caught on video, but those cops didn't know that. After busting in with guns drawn, they got everybody outside, and some of those officers appeared to help themselves to some of the merchandise. You're looking at a surveillance video that shows Santa Ana police officers conduct a raid at an unlicensed marijuana dispensary last month. After getting all the employees and customers out, they really get to work.
Can we break some cameras that make the boss happy, please? Put a fist in her television.
The officers are seen taking down video cameras one by one, but they didn't get them all. Apparently thinking they were no longer being recorded, the officers seem to relax. Some take off their masks, others are seen playing darts. At one point, they even appeared to eat some of the marijuana edibles in the store.
That's like a super hit. That's like a super hit.
If you're a police officer, you probably shouldn't be eating things from a marijuana collective.
Then listen to what another officer says about Marla James, an amputee shown here in the wheelchair, who volunteers at the Marijuana Collective.
Did you punch that one-legged one? How was it not to kick her in her knob?
It just makes your stomach turn. Maybe she doesn't know what it's like to have an amputation. I don't know what was going through her head, but man, that was so disrespectful.
Obviously, we're concerned about what we saw in this edited video.
The Santa Ana Police Department says they have now opened an investigation into this incident.
We expect our officers to hold themselves to a certain standard and represent the department and the profession well. If that wasn't done in this case, it's certainly something that, as part of the administrative investigation, the chief will make the appropriate disciplinary recommendation if it's warranted.
Now, you might have noticed that police commander made sure to call it an edited video. He said he'd like to get his hands on the unedited version before any decisions are made. Meantime, the lawyer for this place says they only edited it to take out dead air. They're more than happy to hand things over to the police, and they're willing to do so. Meantime, here at Sky High Holistic, business remains steady. We've seen a steady stream of people coming in and out throughout the night. We're live in Santa Ana. Jory Rand, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Things are scary down there in Orange County, California. Here the police want to torture amputees, and they kick in the doors so they can eat the product. That's all too often the case with these misguided public servants. It's a very sad case. It's gotten a lot of media attention down in the Los Angeles area, and it deserves it. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
I'm a medical marijuana patient from Clark County in Washington. And I just wanted to make sure that your legislature at Oregon, that you guys have a good input on the legislation, because here in Washington, medical marijuana patients now have to get on a registry to get your medical marijuana status. And the senator from Clark County, Ann Rivers, and one of the ACLU directors from Washington State, Allison Holcomb, wrote this into the legislation. And I think it's a real interference of patient and their privacy rights. And just a warning to the people in Oregon, you don't want that to happen there. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Are you aware of Referendum 76 that's in circulation right now?
Is it for the state of Washington?
Yeah, for the state of Washington to stop Senate Bill 5052 from being implemented. You know, they have until July 24th to gather about 120,000 Washington registered voter signatures. If they gather those signatures and turn them into the state capitol in Olympia, then Senate Bill 5052 will not go into effect, and the whole state will vote on it come November. So you can actually go and pick up those petitions at any Kinko's for 12 cents a page. It's a big 11 by 17 double page. So Kinko's has got a discount price, or they're not Kinko's anymore. They're FedEx Office, I guess. Still in the old days. But you can go in, and that referendum petition is out there right now. I urge you to pick up the petition and get signatures to stop those terrible changes from being implemented.
And what was the number on the referendum?
Referendum 76, just like the spirit of 76 in our revolution here in the United States.
Okay,
It's
really appreciate the
R76.
information. Thanks for having your show.
Hey, you're very welcome. We urge
now.
everyone in Washington to get one of these petitions, get it filled out and turned in, and stop 5052 from going into effect. We have a cameraman from Washington State who wants to say something. Go right ahead, Cowboy.
Hey, Paul.
Hey.
Casper. Band.
Yeah. I don't
All
think
right,
you've come over to the
so-
microphone before. That's cool.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I'm still going through Camas. I'm still going through Longview, and I got this god-awful smell up there. So, you know, it's
The paper
processing. You got it, buddy. So if we use cannabis to make paper, so are we going to get rid of this shit?
Yeah, yeah. They won't have to use
That's what I'm saying, brother.
the chlorine and the sulfuric acid. That they won't have to use that to make paper, so it won't smell bad. So we just have to stop using trees for paper and start using hemp, and I think we will do that. And hopefully we'll stop using petroleum for fuel and start using hemp as well. So there you have it. We are just cranking down to just about less than 5 minutes left. You want to give a little plug for all your radio shows and everything, Casper?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network brings you information and award-winning music about how wonderful marijuana is and the need to end prohibition all around the world. And you can listen to programming from Canada, England, America, and we've got lots of great and informative shows by lots of hardworking hemp activists like Judge James Gray and Chris Conrad and Andrea Herman, Paul Stanford, and myself. And don't forget, Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network, like a good joint, is best when shared with friends. Thank you for the shameless plug again this week, Paul.
Hey, that's what we're here for. So we also want to remind you that the legislature here in Oregon is in session. We want you to contact your state representatives' offices on the telephone or by letter or email. Tell them, number one, we want a progressive license fee for the new marijuana stores. So the big stores, the big producers don't pay a small fee, or the small producers don't have to pay a large fee. We have a progressive license fee system. Number two, we need to be able to keep everything our 4 legal plants produce. We can't tell those plants, hey, stop at 8 ounces. We want them to produce, and we want to be able to keep everything those 4 plants produce. And last but not least, we want to make sure the city and county councils can't, by a private vote, ban dispensaries and marijuana stores. Measure 91, which we passed with 57% of the vote last year, said that it would have a vote of the people to ban these stores. That's what we want. We want to keep the law that we passed and not have the legislature twist it to suit the needs of law enforcement. So those are the 3 things we push. And we urge you in Washington State to pick up Referendum 76 petitions and get signatures on Referendum 76 petitions to stop Senate Bill 5052 from going into effect. Then it would be voted on next November. Last but not least, if you are a loved one, don't know where to go to find a doctor to help you get a medical marijuana permit, we have doctors all over the country from sea to shining sea. Just give us a call at that number there on your screen. It's 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. Here in the Portland area, you can call us locally at 503-281-5100. We're going to go out with another great song by Jim Matheson and John Cornett. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Casper. Thank you, viewers. Thanks, John and Jim. And help us restore hemp. Good night.
I missed the mark 2 weeks.
This one's going out about the drug war. War's over. When's everybody gonna learn? War's over. Telling you bound to burn. War's over. Unless you caught up in a lie, same old lie.
These words just did not sink in their head. So many give, yet so many more them take. Until this oven turn off, it's just I have to beg. War's over, don't you be acting